There are 5 pickup trucks sitting on used lots right now priced under $12,000 that every salesman tells you to walk past. And every mechanic I know either owns one or has recommended them to family. These aren't project trucks. These aren't good for the price compromises. I'm talking about vehicles that'll haul, tow, and run past 250,000 miles with nothing but oil changes and brake pads, selling for half what a clapped-out Tacoma costs because of one stupid reason: nobody thinks they're cool. After 22 years of turning wrenches and watching people overpay for rusty Tundras and blown-up Silverados, I've quietly steered dozens of customers toward these 5 trucks. Not one has come back with buyer's remorse. Not one. Today I'm counting down my 5 most underrated cheap pickup trucks on the market, the ones that offer Toyota-level reliability at Craigslist prices. And truck number 1, that's the one that'll make you question why anyone pays $35,000 for a new truck ever again. Let's get into it. Number 5 is a truck that gets absolutely zero respect from truck guys, but it's the one I see running strong at 200,000 miles more than almost anything else in this price range. And you can grab one right now for under $8,000. I had a landscaper come into my shop 3 years ago. Guy in his early 30s needed a work truck for hauling mowers and pulling a small trailer. He'd been looking at Tacomas and Rangers. I asked what his budget was. He said $12,000. I pulled up Craigslist on my phone and showed him a 2008 Nissan Frontier XE King Cab with 118,000 miles for $7,200. He looked at me like I'd suggested a minivan. "Nissan makes trucks?" he asked. Dead serious. I told him to test drive it first, then decide. He bought it the next day. That was 3 years ago. You know what he spent on repairs? Oil changes, 1 set of brakes, and a battery. That's it. Here's what nobody tells you about the second-generation Frontier built from 2005 to 2014. It's powered by the VQ40DE, a 4.0-liter V6 that Nissan used in the Xterra and Pathfinder. This engine doesn't have the fancy marketing of Toyota's V6, but it's bulletproof. Timing chains, not belts, so there's no expensive replacement interval. The heads don't crack, the manifolds don't rust out, it just runs. The transmission is a 5-speed automatic or 6-speed manual, both proven. No CVT nonsense. The frame is fully boxed steel with a proper body-on-frame design. This is a real truck. Average used price for a 2005 to 2014 Frontier with under 150,000 miles, $7,000 to $10,000. Compare that to a same-year Tacoma with similar miles, $15,000 to $22,000. That's a $10,000 difference for trucks with comparable capability. Towing capacity on the Frontier is 6,500 pounds with the tow package. Payload is 1,460 pounds. Those are real work truck numbers. Repair costs are shockingly low. I've replaced clutches on the manual transmission models for $680 parts and labor. The automatic transmission services run $140. The most expensive repair I've done on a VQ40DE was a timing chain tensioner at 180,000 miles, and that was $890 total. Compare that to a Toyota 4.0-liter V6 with the same issue, $1,400 minimum. If you're shopping for a used Frontier, here's the inspection checklist. First, check for rust on the frame, especially behind the rear wheels and near the leaf spring mounts. Nissan used thinner frame coating than Toyota, so road salt eats them faster. Second, look at the rear differential. If the fluid looks milky or smells burnt, the pinion seal is leaking. That's a $320 fix, but it tells you maintenance was ignored. Third, test the 4-wheel drive engagement if it's a 4x4 model. The front hubs should engage smoothly. If you hear grinding, the actuators are failing. That's a $450 repair. Fourth, check the transmission fluid. If it's dark brown or black, walk away. These transmissions last forever if maintained, but die quickly if neglected. Bottom line on the Frontier, you're getting a truck that works, tows, and lasts without the Toyota tax. The only reason it's cheap is because truck guys don't think Nissan when they think reliability. But I've seen these run 300,000 miles with nothing but basic maintenance. But if you think the Frontier is overlooked, this next truck might be the most underrated reliable pickup in America. And it's the last of the simple trucks you can still buy for under $10,000. Number 4 is a truck that mechanics genuinely love because when something does break, and it rarely does, every single part is dirt cheap and available same day at any parts store in America. Last year, a younger customer, maybe 25, came in asking me to look at a 2010 Chevrolet Colorado he'd found online. Extended cab, 4-cylinder, 140,000 miles. Dealer wanted $11,500. I told him that was too much. I pulled up Facebook Marketplace and showed him a 2006 Ford Ranger XLT Super Cab with 97,000 miles, for $6,800. He said, "Isn't the Ranger outdated?" I told him, "Yeah, and that's exactly why it's cheap and reliable." He bought it. That was 16 months ago. He's at 122,000 miles now. Total repair cost? $120 for a new alternator. That's it. Here's what people don't understand about the last generation Ranger, built from 1998 to 2011. Ford didn't update it because it didn't need updating. The 3.0-liter Vulcan V6 is one of the simplest, most reliable engines Ford ever made. No variable valve timing, no direct injection, no turbochargers. Just push rods, a timing chain, and cast iron simplicity. The 4.0-liter SOHC V6 is equally proven. The 2.3-liter four-cylinder, same engine as the Mazda B-Series, runs forever. The 5-speed manual transmission is a Mazda M5 OD, bulletproof. The 5-speed automatic is Ford's own 5R55E, and while it's not thrilling, it's durable. Current market prices will shock you. A 2006 to 2011 Ranger with under 120,000 miles runs $6,000 to $9,500 depending on condition and cab style. A comparable Tacoma from the same years, $14,000 to $19,000. That's a $9,000 gap. Towing capacity on the Ranger with the 4.0-liter V6 is 5,860 pounds. Payload is 1,860 pounds. For a small truck, those are solid numbers. Repair costs are almost comically low. I replaced a clutch on a manual Ranger last month for $580 parts and almost labor. Water pump on the 3.0 Vulcan, $210. Full brake job all four corners, $340. These are the cheapest trucks to maintain that I work on, period. Parts availability is incredible because Ford sold millions of these. AutoZone, O'Reilly, Advance Auto, they all stock everything same day. When you're inspecting a used Ranger, pay attention to three things. First, check for rust on the front frame rails near the radiator support. Road salt loves to hide there. If you see surface rust, that's fine. If you see holes, walk away. Second, look at the rear leaf springs. The U-bolts can corrode and break. If they look rusty, negotiate $150 off for new ones. Third, test the four-wheel drive if it's a 4x4. The electric shift motor on the transfer case can fail. If it grinds or won't engage, that's a $280 fix. Who should buy this truck? If you need something simple to work on yourself, the Ranger is about as DIY friendly as trucks get. If you want low insurance and registration costs, Rangers are cheap to own. If you're keeping a truck past 200,000 miles and want minimal drama, this is your truck. Who should skip it? If you need modern safety features like stability control or airbag curtains, the pre-2009 models don't have them. If you need serious towing over 6,000 pounds regularly, step up to a half-ton. And if you need 4 doors and adult rear seat space, the Super Cab is tight. Here's the mechanic math on the Ranger. Buy it for $7,000, drive it for 150,000 miles, spend maybe $2,000 on maintenance total. You will not find a cheaper dollars per mile truck in this category. But while the Ranger is simple and cheap, this next truck has something most budget pickups don't. An engine that mechanics call unkillable, and the market hasn't figured out how good these are yet. Number 3 is a truck with one of the most reliable engines GM ever built, and it's selling for half what it should because people only want V8s. 2 years ago, a customer came in, mid-40s, needed a truck for towing a camper and weekend hardware store runs. He'd been looking at Silverados and F100s and 50s, budget around $13,000. Everything in that range had 180,000 plus miles, or a salvage title. I asked if he'd considered the Colorado or Canyon with the 5-cylinder engine. He said, 5 cylinders? That's a thing? I walked him outside and showed him my buddy's 2007 GMC Canyon with 167,000 miles that he'd bought for $8,200. Still running strong. Customer bought a 2008 Colorado Crew Cab the next week for $9,400 with 104,000 miles. He's at 148,000 now. 0 mechanical problems. His exact words last time I saw him, "Why doesn't everyone know about this engine?" Here's what the market missed on the first generation Colorado and Canyon built from 2004 to 2012. GM stuffed a 3.7-liter inline-5 Vortec into these trucks, and it's one of the most underrated engines they've ever produced. The i5 configuration gives it perfect balance, so it runs smooth like a 6-cylinder but with the efficiency of a 4. It doesn't have the cylinder deactivation problems of later GM trucks. It doesn't have the AFM lifter failures. It just runs. The 4-speed automatic behind it is GM's 4L60E, proven in millions of trucks. The 5-speed manual is an Isuzu-sourced unit, equally reliable. Let's talk numbers because this is where it gets stupid. A 2007 to 2012 Colorado or Canyon is, with the i5 engine, and under 140,000 miles, runs $7,500 to $11,000. A same-year Silverado or F-150 with similar miles. $14,000 to $18,000. That's a $6,000 gap for comparable capability in most situations. Towing capacity on the i5 is 4,000 pounds, adequate for small campers and utility trailers. Payload is 1,500 pounds. Repair costs are low, and parts availability is excellent. I've done timing chain replacements on these at 200,000 plus miles for $1,100. Water pump is $380. Full brake job is $420. The only common issue is the fuel pump, and that's $680 if it fails, which usually happens around 150,000 miles. Still cheaper than a week of major repairs on a used German truck. If you're shopping for one of these, here's what to check. First, look at the frame for rust, especially the rear crossmember above the spare tire. Colorado frames rust worse than Rangers. Second, test the four-wheel drive engagement. The transfer case actuator can stick, and that's $320 to replace. Third, check for oil consumption. Some i5 engines burn a quart every 3,000 miles, which is normal for GM. If it's more than that, the rings are worn. Fourth, listen for timing chain rattle on cold starts. If you hear it, the chain is stretched. That's not a deal breaker. Just budget $1,100 for the replacement soon. Who should buy this truck? Anyone who wants mid-size capability without mid-size pricing. Anyone towing under 4,000 pounds regularly. And anyone smart enough to recognize that 5 cylinders are just fine. Who should skip it? If you need to tow over 5,000 pounds, get a half ton. If you live in the Rust Belt and the frame is already rotted, walk. And if you're buying for resale value in 3 years, stick with Tacomas because the market is irrational. Here's the mechanic math. Buy it for $9,000, drive it 150,000 miles, spend $2,500 on maintenance. That's exceptional value. Alright, that was number 3. The next truck, number 2, is one that people avoid because of the badge, but the mechanics I know swear by them, and the depreciation on these is honestly criminal. Number 2 is a truck that shares parts with the Dodge Durango, uses one of Chrysler's most reliable engines, and costs less than a used Honda Civic with the same miles. Last month, I had a contractor come in, needed a truck for job sites, hauling tools, occasional towing. Budget was $10,000. He'd been looking at Silverados and F100s. Everything was either beat to hell or overpriced. I asked if he'd looked at the Dodge Dakota. He laughed. Said, "Dodge, those things fall apart." I told him that's what everyone thinks, and that's exactly why they're cheap. I showed him a 2008 Dakota SLT quad cab with the 3.7-liter V6, 112,000 miles, listed for $7,800. He test drove it, bought it, and texted me 6 months later. He's at 134,000 miles. Total repairs? Thermostat housing for $110 and a set of tires. That's it. Here's what people don't know about the third-generation Dakota built from 2005 to 2011. The 3.7-liter V6 is the same engine Dodge used in the Durango and Ram 1500. It's not flashy, but it's proven. Timing chain, not a belt. Minimal electronics. Just a solid overhead valve V6 that runs. The 4-speed automatic is Chrysler's 5.45 RFE or 4.5 RFE depending on the year, and while it's not the smoothest, it's durable if you change the fluid. The 4.7-liter V8 is even better if you can find one. That's the PowerTech V8 with over 300,000 mile potential. Current market prices make no sense. A 2007 to 2011 Dakota with under 130,000 miles runs $6,500 to $9,500. A comparable Silverado or F-150, $12,000 to $16,000. That's a $5,000 to $7,000 gap for trucks with similar towing and payload. Towing capacity on the Dakota with the V6 is 6,500 pounds. With the V8, it's 7,700 pounds. Payload is 1,750 pounds. These are legitimate work truck numbers. Repair costs are middle of the road. I've replaced water pumps on the 3.7 V6 for $420. Ball joints are $680 for all 4. Transmission service is $160. The most expensive repair I've done on a Dakota was a rear differential rebuild at 190,000 miles. $1,100. Still cheaper than most Silverado transmission rebuilds. When you're inspecting a Dakota, check 4 things. First, look at the rear axle for leaks. The pinion seal fails around 120,000 miles. It's a $280 fix, but use it to negotiate. Second, check the ball joints. Dakotas eat ball joints faster than most trucks. Grab the tire and shake it. If there's play, they're worn. Third, test the blend door in the HVAC system. Turn the heat to full hot, then full cold. If you don't get temperature change, the blend door is broken. That's a dash-out repair, $800. Finally, check for rust on the rear frame rails near the bed. Dakotas rust there first. Who should buy this? If you need a mid-size truck with V8 power options, the Dakota is one of the few. If you want legitimate towing capacity under $10,000, this delivers. And if you're smart enough to ignore badge bias, This is a steal. Who should skip it? If you need cutting-edge reliability, stick with Nissan or Toyota. If you can't handle minor electrical gremlins like a faulty window switch, Chrysler products will annoy you. And if you live in the Rust Belt, inspect the frame thoroughly. Here's the Dakota math. Buy it for $8,000, drive it 120,000 miles, spend $3,000 on maintenance. It's not perfect, but it's half the price of the alternatives. That was number 2. Now, number 1. This is the truck I recommend more than any other when someone asks what to buy, and almost everyone pushes back at first, until I explain why mechanics love it. If this kind of honest truck talk is helping you, hit subscribe because I've got more. Coming on the trucks dealers push versus the ones that actually make sense. Number 1 is a truck that uses the same V6 and transmission as the Honda Pilot and Acura MDX, costs less than a Tacoma with 200,000 miles, and will outlast almost anything else in this price range. But it's also the truck that gets the most hate from people who've never owned one. Let me tell you about the customer who almost walked out when I suggested this truck. 3 years ago, a guy came in, early 50s, needed a truck for home projects and weekend camping trips. He'd been looking at Tacomas and F-150S. Budget was $15,000. Everything in his range was either high mileage or rough. I asked if he'd considered the Honda Ridgeline. He actually laughed, said, "That's not a real truck." I walked him out to the parking lot and pointed at my personal truck, a 2009 Ridgeline RTL with 142,000 miles on it. I'd bought it with 68,000 miles for $11,200. At that point, I'd put maybe $1,400 into it total, and that included tires and a timing belt. He bought a 2008 Ridgeline RTS the next week for $10,800 with 89,000 miles. Texted me last month. He's at 167,000 miles now. 0 mechanical issues. His exact words: "Why do people hate this truck?" The first generation Ridgeline built from 2006 to 2014 shares its platform with the Honda Pilot. Same 3.5-liter J35 V6. Same 5-speed automatic, same all-wheel drive system. This is Honda reliability in truck form. The J35 engine is one of Honda's most proven powertrains, used in Pilots, Odysseys, and Accords. It doesn't have timing chain tensioner issues, it doesn't burn oil, it just runs. I've seen these go 300,000 miles. Not heard about, personally worked on 4 of them past 280,000 miles with original transmission. A 2008 to 2014 Ridgeline with under 120,000 miles runs $9,000 to $13,000. A same-year Tacoma with similar miles, $18,000 to $24,000. That's a $10,000 gap for trucks with comparable capability in most real-world situations. Towing capacity on the Ridgeline is 5,000 pounds, adequate for campers and boats. Payload is 1,550 pounds. The bed is 5 feet long, shorter than traditional trucks, but it has an in-bed trunk that holds 7.3 cubic feet of lockable storage. That trunk is genius for tools and gear. Repair costs are Honda level low. The most common maintenance item is the timing belt, which needs replacement every 105,000 miles. That's $680 at my shop. Brake pads for all 4 wheels run $320. Transmission fluid change is $140. I've replaced water pumps on these at 180,000 miles for $580. The most expensive repair I've done was a starter at 210,000 miles, $420. That's cheaper than most truck alternator replacements. If you're shopping for a used Ridgeline, here's the inspection checklist. First, check the VIN for any recall on the fuel pump. Some 2006 to 2008 models had issues. Honda extended the warranty. Second, look at the tire wear pattern. Ridgelines can develop alignment issues if the suspension bushings wear out. Uneven tire wear means you'll need an alignment and possibly bushings, $450 total. Third, test the Vehicle Stability Assist System. If the VSA light stays on, the yaw sensor may need calibration. That's $180. Fourth, and this is key, check the bed for cracks in the composite bed liner. Some Ridgelines develop stress cracks near the tailgate mounts. Not structural, but tells you the truck was loaded hard. Who should buy this truck? Anyone who wants Honda reliability in a truck. People who use a truck 80% for daily driving and 20% for truck stuff. Anyone towing under 5,000 pounds regularly, and anyone smart enough to ignore what truck bros think. Who should avoid it? If you need to tow over 5,000 pounds regularly, get a half-ton. If you haul full sheets of plywood weekly, the 5-foot bed won't work. If you need serious off-road capability, the Ridgeline's independent rear suspension limits articulation, and honestly, if you care what people at the truck meet think, this isn't for you. Here's my final take on the Ridgeline. This is the smartest truck you can buy under $12,000. It drives like an SUV, costs less than a Camry to maintain, and will run 300,000 miles without drama. If I had to buy one truck right now to drive for 10 years with the lowest total cost of ownership, I'd buy another Ridgeline and not think twice. So there it is, 5 trucks the market forgot but mechanics didn't. The Nissan Frontier with the bulletproof VQ40, the Ford Ranger, last of the simple trucks, the Colorado and Canyon with the unkillable i5, the Dodge Dakota that tows more than its price suggests, and the Ridgeline, the most reliable truck nobody respects. You now know 5 trucks you can buy for under $12,000 that will outlast vehicles twice their price. Next time you're on a dealer lot and the salesman tries to push you toward a rusted-out Tacoma at $22,000, you'll know better. Drive safe, maintain your truck, and it'll take care of you.